Hello, gentlemen. Welcome back. It's Confidently Wrong. We're here. We're enjoying the thawed out portion of the week because earlier this week, good God, it was freezing. Savon, you probably had it the worst of all of us with
Is
the.
there even a thought out version of Detroit? I've never seen it.
Hey, it was nice when we visited in the summer.
I
He's-
wouldn't say thought out. I mean,
he looked out his window.
It's not as bad as it was before, but it's still really cold.
What was the coldest it got there? What in the past week?
Negative 1,000.
No, I think at one point, at that 3 a.m. time, I think it dipped into the negatives, but it's been kind of just in the single digits. And
single digits. So you had to go out in single digits this week.
I mean,
what is your fit like in that kind of weather, in that climate? Or do you just wear comforters, tied with a sash?
No,
he wears the whole couch and takes.
I just have this these thermal underwear suits.
Okay.
And I just wear that under everything, and then just stock up on layers.
So 5 layers.
No, it's 3,
just
2,
3.
3 really, but they're really, really thick layers.
Okay.
This retains heat very well. That's why I'm just wearing it. I wear these at all times.
Yeah.
And then you get you a nice coat plus a thick sweater, a coat, a sweater, some thick pants, some wool socks. Ugh. You can make it work.
Is it enough layers that you have to push your driver's seat back a little bit to make room for yourself?
It's enough to where if you don't put it on properly, you'll feel just the extra bulk of clothing getting in the way. So if you don't get it on.
Can you raise your arms above your head?
Yes, but it takes a little more effort than I like.
Oh my God.
It adds time to leaving the house is the best way of putting it.
It has been a long time since I was in single digits. Good God. No, thank you. No, thank you.
Yeah.
I think New Orleans got to 12 one time or 18 one time, and that was way too cold. Too cold. Brian, you survived the snow in New York. It doesn't sound like it was horrible, but you said it was. It was snowing.
It's not gonna kill you.
No.
It's snow. You enjoy that.
Yeah.
And that was a holiday, MLK Day. People were just sledding and having a nice time.
City was joyous.
I mean, it was also the inauguration day, so I wouldn't say joyous.
It was an occasion.
It was a distraction, maybe. In Austin, people are pretty excited about it because it was just a light snow. It was on the ground, you could see it, but not enough to build a snowman type of snow. And it was super fluffy and dry. So you couldn't even really ball up the snow. It just kind of disintegrated in your hand. It was a really interesting texture. I don't think I've ever seen snow that was that dry and powdery. And then we have obviously friends in New Orleans, and they got dumped on. They got one of the most amounts of snow that I saw in any part of the country, which is insane because New Orleans almost never gets snow. I don't know.
They're shut down for the entire year.
Shut down.
We'll see you in 2026, New Orleans.
No they'll get it together
they'll get it together for the Super Bowl, though. You'll see. Everybody kowtows to the NFL. They gotta get it together.
Gotta get that money.
Exactly right. All right, so let's get into it. We're excited to be back. We're gonna talk about last show or 2 shows ago, I don't know when, we talked about the 2024 stuff and we reviewed it and we were like, dude, it was kind of a little bit of a slow year, but some goodies were in there. And then we wanted to talk about what was coming in 2025, especially the first half of 2025, because there's quite a bit on our plate. And we realized that after taking a little bit of a lull in the Marvel, I say release schedule, there's Agatha and a few, shows, and then we had Deadpool and Wolverine. 2025, Marvel is actually catching up to kind of the delays that they had because of the writer strikes and some of the rewrites they were doing and the slowdown and pullbacks that they were doing. So we're going to go through it one by one in order.
All that stuff from the Disney boss saying, we got to pull back on pumping out all these things quality over quantity.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? Quantity is back.
In a big way. We're just today going to talk about 9 different movies and TV shows from Marvel, and that's it. We're not even going to really talk about anything else except maybe we'll mention the Superman movie at some point, coming from DC. All right, so here we go. First one up. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. It's an animated show. It's releasing January 29th. So really soon, actually, it might even beat this show out to the presses. What are we thinking about this one, Savon?
If I never get another Spider-Man movie, show, production for the rest of my days, it'll be too soon.
You are such a grumpa-dump about Spider-Man. We can never have enough Spider-Man.
I have the math to break down how they just throw these things at you like effing Call of Duty games. It's like annual. It's every year. We need a new Spider-Man thing. I told you, in the last 25 years, how many of these damn movies have... We got like 10 plus, bro. That's insane. I'm sick of it. There's only we could only
each one better than the last.
They got so tired of doing the same story. They said, "All right, we done. We're bored of killing Uncle Ben. What we do now? Let's kill Aunt May." Like,
yep.
Right. They said we done went from Uncle Ben to him having old Aunt May to sexy Aunt May to Spider-Man having Tony Stark as a mentor to Norman Osborn as a mentor to Thanos to Jesus to... Dude, it's enough. It's to Spider-Man being the mentor to other version of Spider-Man, Miles Morales. I can't do it anymore. I'm sick. I can't. I just can't. Please stop this?
This is a fake problem you are making up. Fake problem,
dude.
It's awesome.
You don't think that they don't just oversaturate you with Spider-Man shit? You don't feel that way at all? You don't feel like they just throwing them at you?
I feel like it's a gift that keeps on giving.
No,
I will concede.
It's like a cursed object that just replicates until you drown in it.
Wasn't that part of Invincible? Wasn't that an Invincible thing?
What? Yeah, just drowning, or like Harry Potter when he broke into the vault. And the cups just keep multiplying.
Yeah,
that's how I feel about these effing Spider-Man movies. I'm like, oh, Spider-Man, no way. 1 through 1,000. It's probably
it's like a litter of cute little puppies. There's just so many of them, and like you just don't know where to apply all your love.
And there's no home for them, so now you got to either bring them to the shelter or I don't want to get us in trouble. I'm gonna leave that joke to I'm gonna leave that comment to myself.
Or put on your big boots.
Yeah, get a grocery bag. No, but like it's too much. But and the thing is, the show looks like this isn't even a knock on the show's production and quality. It looks like it'll be dope. We get to see Black Norman Osborn with the waves, and it's voiced by Coleman Domingo, and all that's dope. I just can't do any more Spider-Man, dog. I just don't have it in me. I don't have the bandwidth.
Fair enough. I want to be. I would concede that I didn't necessarily think that I needed this particular Spider-Man show. Like, if you got me another Tom Holland Spider-Man movie, I'm into it. Or if Beyond the Spider-Verse, what's the next one we call it? I think it's Beyond the Spider-Verse. I think if that one comes out soon, like, I would be into it. But it sounds like that one's not coming until 2026 at the earliest now at this point. You know, but I kind of I will check out the first episode. That's how I'm feeling about this one. And if it's good, maybe I'll keep watching it. But it doesn't feel like this is a particular like must see. They're putting it on Disney Plus. You know, it's going to be a little bit more smaller scale stuff. So
it's outside the MCU, actually.
And outside the MCU.
That's important to note. This is not Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
Which might be kind of cool that it's outside the MCU.
But it is a retelling of the classic origin story, it seems like. But taking place in modern times. There's live streaming. Like cell phone live streaming happening.
They're streaming in the Spider-Man story? Didn't we have that in the last 3 with the effing Tom Holland?
Hey, this is Instagram Live, man. This is very different. Maybe that was
Flash Thompson was literally Instagram Live in that Spider-Man. So we can't even pretend like they're doing something new. They doing MCU and still just it's modern times. Kids have social media. This is a new Spider-Man for a new age. 5 years from now or 5 years later.
All right. Well, I enjoy Spider-Man. I'm going to check it out. But I don't think this is one of my top things. So I think we can move on. Let me see. I'm on IMDb. How many episodes is it planned for? Let's see here.
Too many for Savon.
8,
Too many?
probably.
8? It doesn't say. Let's see. Oh, 11? That can't be right. 10 in the first season.
Remember when animated shows used to have 25 episodes in a season? Whatever happened to that?
Wasn't that like every show?
And they used to be half commercials.
Oh, they're going to do an interesting release. They're going to do 2 to 3 episodes every week. So it'll be about a month long. Not even a month. Where you'll get all 10 episodes. which I like. So that means they're probably short episodes, right? Like 25 minutes, 30 minutes, something like that. All right. So that's that. That's what we got to say. We don't know much about it. The trailer, it looks all right. They have him in a white costume, so we'll see how that works. Anti-Venom costume, maybe? I'm not sure.
I think that's the Foundation, but I could be wrong.
All right.
Foundation is just a version of the suit, and it was the Fantastic Four. Who knows?
Okay. Very cool. Our second one we want to talk about. This is the biggie, the one that you've seen 18,000 trailers for at this point if you've been watching basketball or football.
Valentine's Day special.
Yeah, Captain America, Brave New World, starring our good New Orleans friend, Anthony Mackie. Releasing, like Brian said, on actual Valentine's Day, February 14th. I gotta say, I got some misgivings. Savon's rolling his eyes because he's like, why are you going to doubt the black characters? But it's not that. It's that.
He said it, not
Oh
me.
my God.
Audience.
You
He
did
said
say
it, not me.
No.
He said it.
You said it, not
It's
me.
at the back of your mind.
You said it.
Brian, when did I say that? I don't recall. That's not on wax on recording. I don't know. You got that
I
recorded?
actually do
There's
think
no,
it's on
there's no
recording.
receipt for that.
I
Oh,
think there
it
is a
might-
receipt for that.
Were you
It might
already
be.
recording
Well, I
when he
didn't-
said
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, he was.
It's
He was.
been recorded
But it
for 40
wasn't- But here's the
minutes.
thing: I wasn't official. I didn't say it officially on the show, so it's
Okay.
off the record.
All right.
You said it on the record.
All right. So
Follow
My-
our Patreon to hear the soundbite.
what I am, I don't know what the right word is. Savon said I couldn't say. What did I say? Worried? Not. He said I couldn't say worried.
I said you're
I'm the
concerned.
worried
I thought
police.
you're concerned trolling.
Concern trolling.
People who
is
pretend to be upset and it's really just veiled trolling about something.
is Falcon and Winter Soldier was. I think it's fair to say it was a inconsistent show. It was quite up and
It
down.
was
you know?
inconsistent.
Yeah.
It was inconsistent.
And Savon brought up the good point that it was probably heavily impacted by the pandemic and how they kind of had to change filming, and some of the storyline got changed because of its closeness to like disease, in a world pandemic, which made it feel a little bit off at times. Certainly it wasn't Secret Invasion level bad. It was just like there was just some things that were like, man, okay. But and so that's like, okay, well, like, do they really know what they're doing with Falcon, slash Captain America right now? And then the second part that gives me pause is like they've had a lot of stops and starts to this movie. They've changed the name of the movie. It seems like they've changed some of the storylines. They're showing, they've switched out the president without giving us a reason why they're going to switch out the president here, even though the last one sucked. So like maybe that makes sense. And then he's going to be Red Hulk, and okay, we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But
What you mean switch out the president?
it was that other dude for a while in Secret
a different
Invasion.
character.
He
And it's
the
yeah. So I don't know if it's supposed to be
guy who was
so now
Thaddeus Ross?
yeah. So it wasn't Thaddeus Ross, right? So it must be his predecessor or something like that. But he played a big role in Secret Invasion.
Yeah, just a new president.
This is
So, yeah,
Harrison Ford playing Thaddeus Ross.
Yeah.
The General Thaddeus Ross, who then becomes president. I think he becomes president within the scope of this new movie.
Yeah, it seems like
If
it.
I'm
And
not
he's
mistaken.
replacing
No,
an
Ryan,
actor
that's
that
correct.
passed away,
Yes.
who played Thaddeus Ross in
Yeah.
previous movies. But they're gonna they've recast.
And of
him.
course, Thaddeus Ross is a war hawk, right? Like,
Yeah.
he
comes
from
he
the
wants
military
to
arm.
rumble.
Yeah.
He has
gonna get
he has that
busy.
kind of agenda. It's called New World Order, and then he becomes the Red Hulk in this. You don't want to see that?
no
Harrison Ford as the Red
sounds
Hulk.
terrible. Yeah, and also Harrison Ford is old. So him as Red Hulk is like not.
He's great in Shrinking.
He's awesome and intriguing.
A
Amazing.
character who turns into a rage monster, you're not sold because the actor is old?
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
Ryan,
Who
does it not
else
feel like
becomes
this-
rage monsters besides old people? They do it
people are
all the
cranky.
time.
No, they're cranky, but they're not rage monsters.
Wes, Brian, does this
Cranky.
not feel like
Different.
concern trolling right now? Like,
Different.
this doesn't even feel like a real complaint. I'm iffy because Harrison Ford is old and his character becomes a monster, and I just
Yeah.
don't. What
No.
the hell does that even mean?
This is
No.
from the guy who said that Natalie Portman does not make a good Thor because
Yeah, I was just
too
like,
small.
let's just be saying shit.
Small. So yeah, we'll see what happens with it. I don't know that there's a ton of excitement for this movie. Brian, are you
What?
excited?
There's
for
a ton of
hold on,
excitement.
hold on,
I'm
let this
so
man
excited.
Let's let
Are
this
you?
man come in here and just let his negativity speak for everybody else.
This is my Valentine's Day date, right? It's gonna be me and a bunch of incels. Like, we're gonna eat this thing up.
Yeah,
Yikes.
buddy. No, I'm very excited for
You
this
are
movie.
okay. Good. Well, tell us
I've
why you're
been-
excited.
Well, one, I've been a Falcon fan since I was a kid. I used to
Okay.
read a bunch of Falcon comics. Like, this is, for me, this is one of those. He was the niche character I would play on all the really old video games. So 20 odd years later, seeing that now be a big budget production with him as the Captain America lead. Like, I was a kid. I remember when Sam became Captain America in the comics, and I remember that there was pushback about his character and all. Like, so a lot of this stuff is very full circle for me. Of man, I remember when the comic version of Sam, people were pushing back about the idea of Captain America, and frankly, concern trolling with, I think bad faith reasons about why they wouldn't rock with it. But I've always been a fan of the Falcon character. I've always enjoyed his Captain America run arc of trying to, much like with the real life movie, find acceptance and be able to kind of deal past people maybe being really pessimistic. But I like that. I like his power set. I think it lends itself to fun action sequences. I actually just rewatched the opening to Falcon Winter Soldier where they're doing that whole flight battle in the canyon. And I'm like, oh, that scene is sick. His power set's dope. He does cool shit. He's still military. So, like, the character has a lot of potential for badass stuff. He got the dope suit. I know he got the vibranium from the Wakandans now. So, like, I feel like his character's just going to be strapped up doing cool shield shit. So, from an action perspective alone, like, I'm going to like what I get. I like the character. Never been a Red Hulk fan, to be honest, but
Can you tell us about Red Hulk? I don't know anything about him other than he's not Bruce Banner at all. He's totally
no, he's
separate
not
character.
at all. Funny enough, this is actually a very relevant comics thing. Thaddeus Ross is Red Hulk in the comics too. He it's a similar deal where he's a rage monster, but he's more fire heat based. He keeps his intelligence, so he was never just like a mindless brute, unlike Hulk. And yeah, he's kind of, honestly, he kind of fits what Brian said of like, that was kind of General Ross's like Hail Mary, him on just his Warhawk shit of like, yo, I just want to be a badass and fight and do stuff. And it had to do more with his beef with Hulk specifically at first, because when Red Hulk appeared, people didn't know who he was. But it feels like his role is going to be similar. Of not sure exactly how they're characterizing the president in this movie, but the character historically is a Warhawk, and Red Hulk is violent and likes to throw down, but isn't a dumb beast. So that's the part where I'm curious where they're going to lean into that. Is he a idiot, or is he actually smart and it's something calculated? I don't know, but I'm excited for those things. Also, there were a lot of high points in Falcon Winter Soldier that I'm excited for him to build off. All the stuff about Isaiah Bradley and the old Super Soldier program and all that were some of the best.
That stuff was cool.
That was the best part of
it was
Falcon Winter
extremely
Soldier.
good. We know that he appears in this movie, and who knows, that might be something that they still touch on. Like, I think what's gonna make
they show him trying to assassinate the president. Actually,
so clearly something happens with him. So I'm excited for that. And then honestly, for me personally, there's a very weird like art imitates life thing of a lot of the dialogue around Sam Wilson as Captain America is similar to a lot of energy around the movie. And I'm curious to see how the movie in world addresses that of a black character, a black man playing a role that people frankly are
used to seeing a white guy do.
Yeah, or again, will kind of look at you with a side eye face, and I'm like, I'm curious to see how the movie tackles that, because you can't tell a Sam Wilson Captain America story without addressing the racial element too. And so I'm curious to what extent they lean into that, and to what extent will it inevitably alienate like non-black audiences. I'm very curious to see how they balance that, of this movie being something that's meant to be clearly a big budget flagship Marvel production, but like, are white audiences going to be interested in this kind of story? I'm leaning towards no, but that's not stopping me from going in for something that I've wanted to see for a very long time.
I think that's a valid concern and point, and like, they're gonna have to do it skillfully, right? Like, Black Panther is arguably in a similar boat of like, it could be a film that is trying to like justify itself or justify its characters, and they have one of the advantages that they did when they set it up was like, we're going to show a wide range of black characters living in a heavily black society or an all black society, and so you get to see this like wide ranging community, whereas like this movie may not have that, right? And so you can't show all of the different like aspects of it and just like embrace like the blackness, right, of the show or of this world.
Well, it's a different type of blackness. Like, frankly, Black Panther is about a super fictional African super nation.
Yeah.
And that's way less grounded in the real life Black American experience than maybe what the character Falcon goes to. So, like, I think it's easier for audiences to accept a fancy, pretty fictional super nation versus something that maybe is a little more critical of what's actually in your day-to-day lives and backyard. I mean, I think they're playing two different games.
Yeah. Well, what I was saying was they're running the risk, right, of like they're having to, like you said, if they're trying to like address this in a way through the movie, it may not feel believable, right? Like it depends, right? And they've got to do it in a way, I think, that makes it feel like this is actually how this might go down, or like we're just unapologetically going to talk about this stuff, right? Kind of in those couple of conversations, right, that he had with Isaiah Bradley in his home, they kind of took it to that level, and we all appreciated that they did that, right? But are they going to do it in this blockbuster hit, worried about like white audiences, right? And like if they do, I think that makes the movie worse. I think you would actually find that the audience would be more accepting of it if the movie itself was like unapologetic about those conversations and like didn't pull punches on the sorts of things that are happening to these characters because of their race, right? And so I don't know. I think you could see studios backing away from it, being like, we don't want that controversy, or we don't want to like offend people, and then the movie ends up getting watered down and feels like, well, what you like tried to talk about it but you didn't, and then that just pisses everybody off, and you try to walk that middle ground that doesn't exist, that is no good for anybody. So hopefully they don't do that. Hopefully, if you're right, if they're going to talk about blackness and like his blackness, then I'm hoping that they do it in a way that like actually feels like we're not afraid of this conversation, or the conversation that people are going to have, and we're not just like trying to do this to satisfy the woke crowd but not piss off the snowflake crowd. And I don't know. I mean, that's just that would be the worst of all worlds if they did that.
I think the fact that Isaiah Bradley plays such a large plot point in this, even in the trailer, right? Like that character alone, you cannot extricate all the things that are involved in it. All the messy racial dynamics that you're talking about involved in his character. So there's that. And the fact that in the trailer, they also show Thaddeus Ross telling Sam that you're not Steve Rogers, right? Which is basically an acknowledgement of like, okay, you're the black guy trying to take on this white mantle. That seems odd to me. But of course, Falcon is our hero in this movie, right? So he's navigating both those things. And so I definitely think that there will be a lot of this front and center. And also this was all made pre-MAGA inauguration, like we're going to sniff out all the DEI shit out there, right? So I do think they're going to give it like its due in this movie, but I do think Sam Falcon's character is going to try to find some middle through line in all of that, and that of course will be kind of like the milk toast part of the movie, right?
Yeah.
Of course that's what he's doing. Like if you just remember one of the final shots of the TV series, like he's holding two sides together, with his wings out like an angel. That's the role that he's carving out for himself.
He's still
At least
Captain America.
What's that?
It's still the character's still Captain America.
It's still Captain America, right? And that is his ultimate goal, and like we kind of recognize that that's gonna happen. But I think the trailer looks dope. Giancarlo Esposito with an Uzi walking around looks dope. And I think this is finally gonna help propel the MCU into its new phase towards Doomsday. And I think all of that is good and fun and worth watching.
Maybe so. Oh, interesting. I wonder if they're gonna not really do the multiverse stuff here, right? So it's not gonna be at all like Time Stream King related. That would be nice if we're gonna change from that. All right, next one though. This is the one I wanted to talk about, or that I'm excited for based on this most recent trailer. March 4th, so just a few weeks after we get Captain America, we are getting a Netflix show. Well, it used to be a Netflix show, but now it is going to be a Disney Plus show. Daredevil, Born Again, starring Charlie Cox as Daredevil once again. He's been playing this character for quite a hot minute now, right? I think that Netflix show came out in like 2015 or something like that.
Yeah, I think
So
I was still in
it's
college.
been 10 years that he's been our Daredevil, and doing it well. Everyone talks about the iconic hallway fight scene that they did. I think that was season 2. Is that right?
Season 1.
Season 1.
They tried to do something like it again in season 2.
Okay. Yeah, just great. And then Punisher is showing up in this one. It looks like they've previewed like a number of different helmet colors in some of their stuff. So we'll get to see what all that's about.
It's the entire Netflix cast, really.
Yeah,
Like,
they're all
Foggy's
back-
the same. John Barenthal's the same for Punisher. Vincent D'Onofrio playing
So-
Kingpin, who's been around in the other MCU shows
So
as well.
apparently, so a tidbit I can share. Apparently, at one point when Marvel did a big rehash of like a bunch of their writing and their storyline stuff, I think at first they said this Daredevil was supposed to be a soft reboot, and you weren't going to be sure about which elements they might retain, what they haven't retained. But apparently, it was a big shakeup, and they added all new writers and such to the show. And I think that's why now this doesn't seem to be like a reboot or
It
a
seems like a
soft
continuation,
reboot.
right?
No, this is a hard continuation. I was watching Tony and I
And
watching
it
the
continues
trailer.
from Echo too.
Yeah, exactly. But
Yeah.
my point is that initially it was meant to be more of a spiritual successor of certain stuff will return and certain things will kind of be the same versus like, no, this is a hard up continuation. Everything that happened in the Netflix series basically is canonized at this point. We see Punisher, we see all of our characters return. We see that we know that because of what happened with Kingpin, the events of Echo are like a direct continuation there too, right?
He's the mayor.
Yeah, they're adapting the Kingpin mayor storyline. Some of the even just the shots in there are direct references to the finale of the Daredevil Netflix series. So if anything, it's just good to know this is not a spiritual successor. This is a hard-on sequel.
It'll be interesting. They sort of made him Kingpin a little bit more like comical in like a funny type of way, and then also I don't know. I feel like they softened him in some ways for the Echo show, and it'll be interesting to see if they pull him back more towards the Netflix side where he was just like a brutal, MFer.
He was softest in Hawkeye when he wore the Hawaiian Christmas shirt.
The classic. You mean his OG's fit, the most
Yeah.
Kingpin? Yeah.
With the white suit. Oh my god.
I actually like when Marvel kind of like changes the seriousness of a character depending on what they're in, because that's pretty much how it is in the comics. Like a character is as serious as the lead of the series is, serious character. Wolverine's funny in Spider-Man stuff, and then in other stuff he's this brutal, blood everywhere. That being said, we saw this trailer. They made it very
it's going to be
clear.
brutal.
This is
That's
a
what I wanted-
TVMA
that's what we have to
show,
talk
baby.
about, yeah.
This is a TVMA show. Motherfucker's about to get whooped and pieced up.
Every 5 seconds, you hear bone shattering.
Yeah.
Like crunch.
And they showed
crunch,
it
and
in the trailer.
blood. Oh my
Blood
goodness.
on the elbow.
They showed like a compound fracture in the trailer. I was like, oh, they are setting us up for, like, that's what got me hyped for this show, is that like, oh, they're back to being like, this is super violent, not boys violent, but like very violent, very rough. Like there's
Tone
gonna
appropriate.
and it's gonna be more in tune with what those Netflix shows were, especially the Daredevil show and Punisher show. And so I was as soon as I saw this most recent trailer, I was like, I'm in, clearing the schedule. Kids, learn the AP Bio stuff on your own for these few weeks. I'm gonna be checked into this show. So
Teacher of the year.
Yeah.
I'm here. No, I'm excited. I'm here for it.
okay, so that's March 4th. So now we're into March, and then we get a couple months reprieve. A couple.
1
month. Well, I don't even know, right? If Daredevil is releasing once a week, it'll actually take us right into the next one. Thunderbolts, next movie, Thunderbolts apostrophe, or it was asterisk, is coming on May 2nd, 2025. So just in time to start the summer blockbuster season. This is starring Yelena, Taskmaster, Red Guardian, what's his name? U.S. Agent?
U.S. Agent, Bucky.
U.S. Agent. Bucky's in it? Okay.
Yeah, Winter Soldier's in there.
And so they're doing, some kind of anti-hero stuff in the movie. It's not super clear what they're doing. They start in the trailer. They start with a reunion between Yelena and Red Guardian, played by the guy from Stranger Things. So
David Harbour, I believe.
yeah, that guy. I didn't know
they're
what.
brought together by Elaine from Seinfeld. I forget the name of her character.
And from Veep, Val something.
Valerie, something like that.
And
Who's basically the Viola Davis counterpart in the MCU.
Yeah.
I guess that's true, huh?
Yeah, she's like the Amanda Waller, Dark Nick Fury, Cecil from Invincible type, just Machiavellian jerk / supervisor / parole officer.
She's like, there's a role for you, USA agent, even though you suck.
Yeah, you're a dick, and you know what? We can use your skill set. Yeah, your country needs you.
I'm unclear. Is she the one pulling the strings, or is she doing it on behalf of somebody else, or do we know yet?
It's a little ambiguous.
I don't think we know yet.
But her character in the comics
Waller
is someone
seems
different.
like Waller is doing it for her own ends for the most part.
No, Waller's not. If anything, Waller is like the epitome of just cold U.S. government action. Like,
yeah, but she's in charge, is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
She's making the calls here.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure she's in charge in a similar way. I think the character might have more, but that's one of those we'll have to watch the movie and see. You know, is her puppet master the government, or is it someone bigger?
I am a little bit curious. This is not a big important point, but I am a little bit curious if that asterisk for the Thunderbolts is meaningful. Like, are they actually not the Thunderbolts in some way, or are they like a different team up? Because it's very intentional that this asterisk is on the end of the title, and I wonder if that's going to play a role where like it'll actually change their team name or something like that, or who knows? We'll see.
It definitely has some sort of meaning.
It has some
it's
meaning,
going to come into play.
Yeah, it has some meaning, but it's pretty straightforward in comics. Like, the Thunderbolts are super powered human. It's kind of like a less cruel Suicide Squad of like, they're not there under the threat of getting blown up usually, but it's like, hey, you're criminals or y'all are anti-heroes, work for the government, we'll send you on jobs, and this is your chance to kind of be able to show that you can be better. A lot of times heroes like Luke Cage will lead the Thunderbolts or Hawkeye's led the Thunderbolts. So the basic premise is pretty straightforward. Anti-heroes / former villains trying to do good stuff for the government. The details and how this movie maybe fleshes it out or changes it up, no idea. But I think that's a pretty fair, broad outline, and that seems to be confirmed by the trailer.
Yeah.
And there's one particular character who shows up.
Oh my god!
Where all the other characters we've seen before, right, in previous MCU movies, and
Not
they are looking to this guy, and they're like, well, "Who the f is this guy?"
We're talking about Bob, right?
Yeah, Bob.
Bob
like,
is going to be
he's walking in his scrubs and something, but he is the most dangerous of all characters.
Bob is going to be the best part of the movie. Like, Bob is going to make or break this movie straight up.
What can you say about him that won't, spoil it for people?
He looks this in the same way in the trailer. He looked like a weenie.
Yeah.
I think we know looks can be deceiving. Usually if a character looks like a weenie and they're presented as a weenie, they're usually as far from a weenie as possible. All I can say is, historically with the comic character, that is true, and that's an understatement.
Okay. Are we talking like power set that can like destroy the universe kind of thing, or just like very dangerous? How would you describe it?
He is giving LeBron at YMCA energy.
Okay,
and that's not a knock on the YMCA being the other characters. It's more of like, he's just that nice with it.
All right.
Like Earth almost S tier, but not galactic.
Okay.
S tier.
Could easily be like a most dangerous threat on Earth type.
Okay. Are you willing to say whether he'll probably lean towards the good guys or bad guys? Or do you think
that's part of the fun?
That's part of the fun. That's part of the fun.
All right. So that's Thunderbolts. That's May 2nd. Anything else you want to add for this one? I when I first saw this trailer, this was a few months ago that it came out. I wasn't super thrilled by it. I was like, it looks fine. I don't know. And then Tyler and Savon were like, no, that trailer was really awesome. And I was like, okay, maybe we watched a different trailer. Like, I don't know. I didn't think the trailer was anything I was like really excited for. But
I think of all the stuff coming out this year, even though I'm blanking on what else is coming out after this, this is the one that has the potential to be the most bonkers fun.
Okay.
Just fun. Oh, was it a good movie? Maybe not, but did you have a good time at the theater? Yes.
Okay. I'm down for that kind of movie.
Like, I feel like I'm gonna see this at the theater and I'm gonna be laughing and like enjoying my ass the whole time.
I hope this fills in the void left by Guardians.
Oh, okay. I think that would be good then. I mean, and it fits kind of nice because it's kind of between some serious stuff, so that'll be good.
Yeah, the tone's gonna be really important for this movie. Do they lean into the darker side, or with this cast of characters, do you make it a little more dark humor? I see this being a more dark humor type
Yeah,
of
I'm
some of the
hoping for dark
characters we see.
humor.
Like with
Okay.
Red Guardian and Yelena, and this gives energy for like a lot of straight man characters versus sarcastic, snidey characters, but it's too big of a cast for it to be just this super, super hyper take itself seriously movie. I don't think it lends itself to that, but we'll see.
All right. Next up, we got another Disney Plus show. This is going to be Ironheart, coming out in June, end of June, June 24th. I don't know how many episodes it's slated for. Maybe one of you can look it up while we're talking about it. Sorry, Riri Williams. We haven't seen her since Black Panther 2. And obviously she's a little bit like an Iron Man character in that she's, a top-notch engineer. She is building, mech armor. She's obviously kind of a young prodigy, studying, in college and building all her own stuff. So she's, obviously an engineer as well. They haven't shown us much about this as far as I can tell. So it's hard to be excited or not excited about the show other
It's
than
it's in the whole MCU trailer. It's in the package.
yeah.
They actually do show quite a bit.
Brian.
They gave us like 20 seconds, something like that, 15
Brian,
seconds.
Wes can't get anything out of that unless they explicitly say this is who it is. This is what's exactly happening. Then he'll maybe remember it.
I need it spelled out, please.
It's by the way, it's a mini series. It's listed as a mini series, 6 episodes.
Okay. All right. Savon, what's your excitement level for seeing an Ironheart show?
I'm pretty
Ironheart show.
I'm pretty excited for it. I like the Ironheart character. She, to me, is frankly a more interesting version of what Tony Stark was. The engine,
That's a big statement. Okay.
I mean, Tony Stark in my eyes is always like the rich kid engineer, and to me, that's less interesting when you have infinite money and resources. But a defining part of this show, everybody got daddy issues. Everybody got parent issues. It's like, what the hell? It's like one of the most universal issues there are. But
that's why it's so great. It's universal. Everybody can relate.
And plus, anyways, no, I like the character because even I liked her in Wakanda Forever, where her whole thing is she's a genius engineer, but she's not rich. She has to really be creative about how she sources her equipment to make her suits and all of that. And I think that's gonna play a role in the show of like her wanting to build stuff, but like she's not rich. She's from Chicago, really, really gifted, but not rich, not privileged money wise. You remember she even had to give up her suit at the end of the last Black Panther movie. They say, "Nah, B, you can't take that with you." But I'm excited for it. What I'm actually excited but nervous at the same time is that even though she's a firmly technology-based character, her enemy is going to be a character called the Hood, and the Hood straight up is a magical character, maybe even with some Mephisto ties.
Oh.
So what I'm curious about is, are we going to get
how's that going to work?
Are we finally going to see some real dark magic stuff, and it's going to intersect with like a story about like a inner city Black character with the tech stuff? Like that's a really cool juxtaposition that could not go well, but if done correctly, I think could go very well. And I like the idea of a dark magic user against a technology user. I think it creates a cool dynamic for Riri that, makes it a little bit different than just her fighting another person with armor stuff on, which I think, early Marvel, we used to complain the characters were just fighting mirrors of themselves. But I think there's a lot of potential here. I think there's a lot of potential for good storytelling. And I think similar to how I feel about a lot of the Black MCU productions.
You made me think of how Black Widow fights Taskmaster in a more recent property. Like, recent movies too?
It's just like a mirror. It's a mirror battle. But
yeah.
I like the potential of what this story could tell. I think there's an element of, drugs and how you hurt your community and gang stuff and like that. If Riri has to like decide between her technology passion, but then how her passions could inadvertently hurt people around her, I think that's a really cool, frankly, more relatable, smaller scale version of the classic Iron Man tale. Rather than rich guy feeling bad about his weapons hurting people, now it's more grounded character worried about how she could be hurting her own community. Again, I don't know the 100% plot, but like these are the threads I see, and that makes me like, okay, cool. I want to give this show an honest try. And I like the Riri actor. She's a good actor. I like her.
Oh, yeah. Whoever plays Riri, she's great. She was great in Wakanda Forever.
Very authentic.
I think it's also important to note that the Hood, though he is a magical villain, right? I believe he runs a criminal syndicate. Like he's kind of a street level character less of a supervillain and more of a criminal mastermind, right? And he's running a whole organization. I'm pretty sure that's who his character is. And as Savon said, you can see in the trailer there's some nods to, like money and drugs. I have a feeling that Riri's going to get involved in trying to earn some money, and then realize like, oh, this guy gets involved with this guy, and then realize he's bad news, right?
A bad benefactor, someone who will sponsor you, because we know for building her suit she needs money. I feel like that's going to be a motivating factor in the show. She's a badass, but that's not for free. So like, yeah, are you willing to take that dirty money? If you find out the money's dirty, what's going on?
Why isn't Wakanda supporting her? But okay.
We don't. First of all, Wakanda can't fix all the world issues.
They're isolationist, you know that.
No, but they know her. All right.
But who knows? The show hopefully will address that. But I mean, they already said, first of all, we can't just send you back to America with a vibranium suit. So you're not about to just be out here. You're not about to be out here just giving away fire vibranium
weapons
shit.
of mass destruction.
Yeah, like you're not gonna do that. So I don't know. Like, that'll be hopefully the show addresses that. But I don't know. I'm excited. I'm gonna watch it.
All right. And then the next biggie that comes out, and probably the last big one for Marvel this year, is going to be the Fantastic Four. It's called Fantastic Four First Steps. It's releasing July 25th, right in the middle of blockbuster season. They are going to have, well, it appears like they're going to use some like retro period stylizing going on here based on some of the promotional material. You guys said you haven't seen a trailer. I haven't seen a trailer that's been released yet. So it looks like
promo art.
Yeah, it looks like they're probably going to wait for like Thunderbolts. Well, they're probably going to wait for Captain America to clear first and then start promoting the movie. I mean, I think you guys were also joking that the people are going to go see this, right? Pedro Pascal is the main character as Reed Richards, and so obviously Pedro Pascal's a box office draw, and people are going to go see it if he's in it. So could be good. They got all four characters in it. We got Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, The Thing, Johnny Storm.
And it's confirmed that it takes place in the 60s or 50s or whatever. And so it has a like retro futuristic vibe that they've talked about in interviews and stuff like that. Like, so these are Fantastic Four. They're space explorers, scientists who go out, into orbit and then hit by cosmic rays and gain these abilities, right? And so I think that will be interesting to see how they try to integrate that into the MCU timeline.
And we've had in the past 15 or 20 years, we've had two other Fantastic Four movies with
the worst movies of all time,
with origin stories for the team. Yeah, and they
even there was a sequel too. Flopped. There was one with Silver Surfer in it. Remember?
Oh, there was. I don't remember what happened in that one. The animation on that was cool, or the like graphics on that were cool. But we'll see. Like, was it just bad writing and bad production on those ones, or is a Fantastic Four story really hard to build? I think we're gonna get our answer this summer when we find out if this movie is any good. I have high hopes. You got good actors in there. We haven't heard anything that's been like off about the making of the movie. So this is the one where I have high hopes for this as a Marvel movie to be a good one and to not disappoint us. And if they do, they do. But hopefully,
Marvel has a lot banking on this, right? Like Fantastic Four is kind of
where you can introduce
one of their signature properties, right?
Yeah.
Like X-Men, Fantastic Four,
Spider-Man,
honestly, and Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
Like all the things that Fox owned, right? That MCU is now slowly clawing back on. And when all those Fantastic Four movies flopped, Marvel, the comic book company, started pulling back on Fantastic Four. They actually stopped publishing Fantastic Four comics because they were trying to downplay it, because in the world of IP, it wasn't doing so great. So this is now a full-throated attempt to re-put them back in the pantheon of top Marvel IP and characters, right? And I mentioned this in a previous episode. We're seeing that happen in Marvel Rivals, right? They're being pushed in there. Now we're going to get this big movie. And of course, all of this is
Synergy.
leading towards Avengers Doomsday. Doctor Doom, Fantastic Four are the arch nemesis. And so that is, that if that is the big
That's
tentpole
the
event that
backbone,
we're
you're right,
headed
man.
towards, Fantastic Four has to hit. Like if
Yeah.
it is a total dud, like
Yeah, that's true, huh?
We got big problems. So I think like they can't afford to miss. So I'm assuming a lot of extra care and rigor went into this particular movie.
I hope so.
That they took their time to craft it so that it wouldn't fail.
Yeah.
One thing that I'm wondering, just that you guys were talking about it now, is like Fantastic Four, their power set is like not that exciting, right? That Mr. Fantastic can like stretch his arms. You're like, okay, like, but now like as kids we grew up with like Stretch Armstrong, which was like kind of a joke, and it's like, well, that's kind of what that is. Like, is that really like a power that people are like afraid of or like are gonna get beat down by? And obviously he's also a scientist, and so maybe like there's other pieces that he can bring to that. And then Invisible Woman, like, okay, you can turn invisible, but
All right, hold on.
how does that help
Have
us?
you not
hold
played
on.
Rivals?
I can't let this go any further.
Okay, so
Wes, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, pimp.
but I think that's part of why like the other one struggled, right? Is their power sets are like they're fine, but nothing exciting. The Thing is just made of rocks. You know, he's indestructible, but like, okay,
Savon's
great.
calling time.
Okay,
Tell
tell
me,
me, Savon, why should the lay people like myself, the dummies, why should we get hyped for this power set?
Don't get
or
it
these
twisted. Don't
people?
get it twisted. I'm not a Fantastic Four fan. I'm not
Okay.
a fan of the Fantastic Four.
Okay.
I just think their powers isn't the problem. I think the rubber ability is really cool. They've had lots of cool stretchy characters who can do cool things and make their body into stuff, and that lends itself to cool sequences. Like, I think Invisible Woman has probably one of the coolest power sets in a lot of comics of just invisibility, force fields. The problem isn't that. The problem is that they're not very interesting characters. Less so their power set. Johnny Storm has cool powers, but he's always just going to be the literal brash hothead. Thing has always been probably the most interesting character because he has his actual struggles of his looks and how he's treated, which is probably the best part of the old Fantastic Four movies. But he's not a lead. Invisible Woman, they're too busy doing Jessica Alba not having clothes on gags with the invisible power to actually like use her character in a meaningful way. They just said, okay, we got Jessica Alba. She can be invisible. I know she can be invisible. Let's find the most BS reasons to have a reason for her to have to be naked and then make herself invisible. And then Reed, from me, and I say this as a comic fan too, his character's best when he's evil. Like his character's defining characteristic is that he's a genius who's so smart he's dumb, and he's so smart that he doesn't have good people skills and all that. Like these don't lend themselves to good lead characters in their own thing. It makes them great world builders and tertiary supporting characters and all that, but like the four of them, no one screams, oh, this is a great main character. Johnny's not really interesting. Thing's not a good lead. Invisible Woman, they misuse her, frankly. Reed, I think, is going to be where it lands. Honestly, it's going to come down to Pedro Pascal. He's a really talented actor, and if they give him good material of how they want to, if they have a vision of what they want Mr. Fantastic's personality to be like, which I hope is kind of cold at times, you have the potential for a really interesting lead. But if you don't really flesh these characters out more and make them more than just that surface level stuff, I think it's going to fall flat because no one's going to care, even if they have cool powers, because otherwise they're kind of boring. Like, I think that's why they fell off. Like, what's their most defining personality traits amongst them? Like, what's their thing? Besides the thing.
Besides
like the biggest personality trait is that Reed's so smart he can be a jerk, but that lends itself to villain versions of Reed, which I enjoy, but you're not going to have him be the villain in this type of story. So, like, where's the interesting character moments come from?
Yeah,
it'll have to be
conflict when they're all family.
It's gonna have to. They're gonna have to sell us on. They're gonna have to sell us on. They're gonna have to sell us on the family dynamic, though. Like that is what I have to say. If they can sell us on the family dynamic, that'll make it click. But that's hard to do with 4 characters in lead roles, and someone has to be the big dog. That's a lot of shit to balance, man.
Yeah.
So one of the things,
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
One of Mr. Fantastic's main roles in the MCU is that he leads up the Illuminati, which is a real thing in the MCU and maybe elsewhere.
And they're kind of dicks.
And it's, correct me if I'm wrong, it's Mr. Fantastic, it's Black Panther, it's Doctor Strange, right? And they
Doctor Strange, Namor, pretty much think of all the major Marvel factions and think about who their leaders are. That's Illuminati. So Black Panther, Namor, Professor X.
Yeah, and they come together to decide the fate of the world. From like these other threats that people aren't even aware of. That's how big and scary they are and looming, right? And so Reed makes a lot of calls that are important in Illuminati settings. So that is probably one way that Fantastic Four, the movie, will end up being embroiled in the rest of the MCU. I imagine, and it'll be interesting to see like how much they dip their toe into that aspect of his role in this movie, and maybe we'll see some exciting cameos.
Sounds like they got their work cut out for them, given some of these constraints in the characters already.
I think the artistic vision and them leaning into that retro futuristic style will hopefully give this movie its own. That gives me hopes that the movie is going to have its own very big creative stamp and brand. And that gives me high hopes for the movie.
Like, you're saying they know what it wants to be.
It means it's going to have an identity of its own.
Yeah.
It's a bold movie.
It's a good start.
Picked their strong direction to begin with.
Yeah, it's like that's a bold premise to say we're introducing a group in a 1960s alternate universe. I'm like, all right, that's bold, but that means that someone clearly had a vision, and hopefully, like with the other good Marvel stuff, whoever's vision this is, let them cook, man.
Yeah.
Let them, not too many chefs in the kitchen. Look, all right, you gave them the menu, what you want, the recipe, the ingredient. Let them cook. We'll see if it's good.
All right, the next two we'll do together: Eyes of Wakanda, August 6th, and Marvel Zombies, October of this year. Both of these are going to be like four episode kind of short animated things. I don't have much to say on them. There isn't a whole lot of info out on them. Eyes of Wakanda, you said you saw something that said it was kind of based on some of maybe the Dora Milaje, maybe some of their warriors out trying to get out into the real world and collect different artifacts or something like that. Marvel Zombies, I mean, it's just going to be zombie shows, so it'll be good, I guess. I don't know. Anything to say about those? Or should we get to the next one?
What if style animation for both of them, I think. Unlike the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man show, which
different art
has
style.
Its own direction.
Yeah.
So it's probably made by the same people that make What If.
Okay.
Maybe the same animation studio.
I don't know that I'm committing myself to watching those two, but if nothing else is on them, I might check them out. And then last but not least, we're going to follow up. Well, the last thing in Marvel's continuity this year is TV show Wonder Man. Who's it starring, Brian? What's his name?
Yahya. I don't know his full name.
Okay. Apparently the ladies love him.
Yahya Abdul-Mateen.
Previously
he was
where?
Dr. Manhattan in Watchmen, where he showed his blue ding-a-ling.
Yikes.
And the ladies loved it.
Maybe that's why the ladies love him.
The ladies love him.
Dr. Manhattan. You can have 5 of you like on me at once. Oh my God.
What?
That's a Watchmen thing. That happens in Watchmen. Anyway.
Oh, okay. Sure it does. Savon, what's your appetite for a show like this? I think the premise, it sounds like he's an actor and then he gains powers that are then useful for him playing a superhero on TV. So he's a superpowered actor who's playing a superhero, kind of hiding in plain sight, I guess, is kind of what's happening here.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, we talked about this in a previous episode. I think this is one of those. It's a very different take on the type of stories we hear, and this feels like this has the potential to be like just a cool show that happens to have superpowered characters. Because the conflict and premise seems to be more about acting, Hollywood, your job stuff more than the superhero stuff itself. But I think it'll be refreshing. I think it'll be a cool concept. Definitely an interesting take on a character who otherwise I think could be a little bit more on the boring side of just generic super strong guy. But Yahya Abdul-Mateen's a really good actor, and I'm gonna absolutely give it a try. And then, yeah, I have other minor questions about the series, but I'll hold on to those until it's out. But like, I'm gonna absolutely give this a watch. This feels like it'll be really fun and refreshing.
Yeah. The minute that they show in that big Marvel trailer package makes it look like a fun and interesting show, right? Just because of that premise that he's playing a superhero on a TV show in the MCU where there are actual superheroes, and he is an actual superhero. And along for the ride is Ben Kingsley, who's reprising his role as Trevor
Trevor.
Flattery, who was
Fake
faking
Mandarin.
as the fake Mandarin. And everything that he's in, he's pretty hilarious. He's a scene stealer in the MCU. Like he was great in Shang-Chi.
I liked him in Shang-Chi.
So I think the two of them together will be very fun and interesting. These two actors, our resident MCU actors, trying to make it in the big Hollywood industry.
Wonder Man's giving me big straight
his
man
angle.
energy.
Okay.
Yeah, he's giving me really big straight man energy, and I could see him just being so. Him and Ben Kingsley are just gonna be. He's gonna be so over him, and it's gonna be hilarious.
All right. So that's coming out in December. That'll finish off the year for Marvel. And then we did want to talk a little bit about, because we haven't had a chance to, Superman. So DC is releasing their first James Gunn, driven show. He's going to direct this one. And they put out a trailer. What was it? Like maybe a month ago at this point, showing us some cool like moments from the show. One of the standout moments is Superman has to super speed his way in front of a little girl who's in the way of an exploding vehicle or something like that, and block the debris with his body. And they did in super slow-mo. And then they opened the trailer with Superman being very hurt, like physically hurt and in trouble. And they revealed that, what's his name? Crypto? The dog's name.
Yeah, Crypto.
Crypto,
the super dog.
Crypto the super dog is going to play a role in this one and have to save Superman in this. So that I was unsure about, and I'm like, well, maybe I'll give James Gunn the benefit of the doubt. He's proven that he can handle creatures and things like that, and kind of lighter moments with some seriousness as well. I don't think that would have been my first choice to have Crypto the dog in the very first Superman movie that he's booting up, but maybe it's better to have him there from the beginning rather than trying to add him in later as like a secondary character, where you're just like, this doesn't fit the tone of what this show was. So maybe it'll be better to have him there from the start. I am pumped for this. I'm when it comes out, I'm definitely gonna check this out, and I hope that you guys will too, so we can talk about it. A new Superman actor. I don't know his name. So we're over the Henry Cavill version of Superman and done with the James Snyder. What's his name? James Snyder? No,
Zack Snyder.
Right. Zack Snyder. James. I just made up a new person. Zack Snyder version of Superman. And the colors are back. It's going to be very vibrant as a visual spectacle. And then Lois Lane. Who is Lois? Oh, Lois Lane is the character. The actor is the one from Ms. Maisel. She's going to be playing Lois Lane in this one. So I don't know, Brian. What did you think when you saw the trailer? Are you into it? I don't know if you're a Superman fan.
I'm not typically a Superman fan, but this looks pretty good. And yeah, I mean, like, you got to give James Gunn a lot of credit too, right? Like his resume speaks for itself. One of the things that,
and he's not for everyone.
Yeah, sure. It's not for everyone, but at least he has a style. He has a distinct voice. You know that there will be entertainment to be had in his stuff. It won't just be like a mixed bag of meh, right? Like, at least he's trying. And I think that means a lot in this day and age of content, right? Like, we have somebody who's actually trying. The thing that really grabbed my attention from the Superman teaser, was all the characters that you get a flash of, right? So, like, you mentioned Crypto the dog, which is like a ridiculous thing to have. But James Gunn is going to use a character like that. But then you see Hawkgirl makes her way into this, and then there's a robot, like a dying robot. I'm not even familiar with this character, but I think they're called Telex or something like that.
I thought maybe that was a Metallo reference.
Metallo. Okay.
There's a close up of a dude with all these wrinkles on his face, and I believe
I didn't know who that was.
What are you talking about, Mr. Terrific?
That's Metamorpho, and then
Metamorpho.
Yeah, we do get Metamorpho. You're right.
Then there's Mr. Terrific, who's a character I never heard of. Like, all of these characters I really have never heard of, right? Aside from Hawkgirl. But Mr. Terrific, black dude, leather motorcycle jacket, and like a crazy black mask.
Yeah. Y'all don't know Mr. Terrific?
He looks pretty wild. He looks pretty wild in this teaser. So I think James Gunn is like really digging deep into the Superman crates and bringing us some like
his
wild,
mask is in the shape of a
outlandish
T.
gems.
That
Yeah,
mask.
Mr. Terrific. Yeah.
Oh, that's what it is. It's in the shape of a T.
T
You
on
can
his
see the
face.
gears turning. So y'all never watched Justice League Unlimited, right? That was past y'all time.
I have only seen episodes here and there.
I watched
the
Justice
whole
League.
thing.
I don't remember him being in it as much.
He takes over Martian Manhunter's job, basically running the Watchtower. He's like one of those. Him, Batman, Lex Luthor, smartest people on Earth type characters.
Okay. What's this fair play thing on his arm or his jacket?
Fair play?
Is that his catchphrase? Fair play.
I'm not sure the details.
Okay.
Piece, but point is, lots of cool, extremely smart, lots of tech.
We get Lex Luthor in this one.
Yeah, so it's like we all know the Superman story. They've done it so many times. Like, speaking of like doing an origin over and over, like beating it like a dead horse. At least James Gunn is doing something different with Superman. Clearly, even though we still get Lex Luthor, and we see his adoptive dad, like by the cornfields or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
There's still some of that stuff, but we're also getting a whole other side of Superman that is very comic booky.
Yeah.
So that should be interesting at the very least.
And we're getting Guy Gardner too.
Oh yeah. He's
played by Nathan Fillion, who, for folks who aren't aware, there's like the various Green Lanterns who are like the Green Energy Space Cops. He's like they are basically, but like Guy Gardner has that yee haircut. Like, the haircut is meant to look awful.
It's terrible.
And his character is always like super heroic, but is so unlikable and is such a D-bag and is so obnoxious. And even in that one clip, just the face Nathan Fillion made in that trailer, I was like, oh, that's Guy Gardner. Oh, he's gonna be insufferable. Like,
he's got the bowl cut.
Whatever impression you got of him with that face he made in that haircut, I promise you have made the right first impression. If it's a negative first impression, you're right. But no, I'm with Brian. I'm not a Superman fan. I'm really excited for this trailer. James Gunn can be a little hit or miss for me. I think I like his distinct style, but sometimes it can be a little grating for me. But I like that he makes fun movies, and for superhero stuff, he's not ashamed of the source material. He is like the polar opposite of Zack Snyder, who had to ground everything and make it gritty and real. This is a Superman movie that is not afraid to lean away from the ridiculousness that is a superhero world. Like, am I a fan of Crypto the Superdog? Hell no, I hate it. But I respect that he was willing to, he knew from the bounce, but he put it in the trailer. That wasn't even meant to be a surprise. He said, man, we are leading with this shit. Yeah. And I respect that he's not shying away from the more ridiculous elements of these superhero stories, because it's a fine line to balance. And sometimes if you take it too seriously, you get Man of Steel, which I enjoyed, but as a Superman movie, in hindsight, I'm like, I don't know if it was a great Superman movie. But this one, it's colorful, it's vibrant. You're getting the full cast of ridiculous characters. They don't tone down ridiculous haircuts and outfits that might not seem like the dog got a damn cape on. They didn't try to tone it down or say, or the S isn't actually a S, it's an old Kryptonian. Like, B, it's a goofy ass S, and we're not even. I got an S on my chest, and I respect that. That's the energy he's going for, and I think that will be a good palate cleanser for what the previous guard was, and I think it will set a good tone for these upcoming DC movies. So
yeah, I'm ready for a change of pace.
But I like what this movie looks like.
I was not a fan of the Snyderverse, as you guys know, so I'm ready for a change of pace. And I've enjoyed most of James Gunn's stuff from Peacemaker and Suicide Squad, or was it Suicide Squad or the Suicide Squad? Whichever one he did.
The Suicide Squad.
The Suicide Squad. And then and then obviously Guardians is fun stuff to watch. And he did a great job, I think, on that last one, right, on Guardians Volume 3. Funny that like Nathan Fillion it's a buddy of his, and so he gets to show up in all of these James Gunn movies as well. Like, he's already shown up in DC because he was in Peacemaker as a different character. And then now he gets to show up in this one as Guy Gardner, and it doesn't matter. It's fun. It's just like, oh yeah, Nathan Fillion, he gets to be in whatever movie he wants, It's kind of like that guy from Cheers that gets to be in every Pixar movie. But it's his voice, so it's different than seeing his face every time. All right, so is that it? Are we out of Marvel and DC properties for the year?
For the time being.
There is something small coming
That was
out.
quite a lot.
Yeah.
I don't
Peacemaker.
think we need more.
Peacemaker season 2 is also coming August 2025 this year. So
Just give me a
season
second.
2. So we'll get to see John Cena, as Peacemaker one more time. All right, friends. Whew, that was a lot. What are you most excited for? Tell us. And why is it Fantastic Four? Friends, we're out of here. See you later. Bye.